create teams that are no larger than can be fed with 2 pizzas. We call that the 2 pizza team rule.
He's very, very famous for shaping how to handle high-level meetings. His method at that moment still is, but most organizations nowadays have adopted it, so seen as unconventional, but it was remarkably effective. For he does this, it focuses on deep preparation, small teams, and deep truth-seeking conversation aimed purely at producing a breakthrough, not just coming to do a service level agreement. And that last part is why a lot of people hate meetings, because you always come to agree on a decision that has already been made, or to talk about on how another meeting you're going to. There is an organization where you're going to a meeting, you meet to plan for a meeting that you're going. And then you go and have another meeting with another group to discuss about an issue that was on another meeting to go to another meeting. So let's quickly dig deep into those techniques and understand how we can apply them to transform our meetings today. And I think the tips are 5 of them. And in each of the tips, we are going to look at what is the core idea, how it works. I'll give an example based on Amazon, Jeff Bezos' company, and also the application tip that you can take today to go and try to apply it in your organization or in your meetings. So, principle number 1, use 2 pizza teams. Okay, what does this mean? So what it means is to keep your meetings into a small group that can feed 2 pizzas. This essentially is the more likely someone is going to ask, why am I in this meeting? So smaller groups reduce communication overhead. There are fewer voices. A group can listen, can think critically, and even decide faster. In contrast, when you have a huge group, often there is fragmented attention. People are thinking of other things. Decision making becomes very, very slow. Basically what we call decision paralysis, and mostly groupthink. Like, a few people have spoken and those are the big quote-unquote guns of the organization, therefore we can go with that. So here's an example, and remember again, we are using Amazon as an example. So imagine your product development meeting for a new mobile app feature. A team of 6, meaning product manager, a user experience designer, a lead developer, a data analyst, customer support rep, and a tester. This is a very nimble team, enough to share insights and decide on what a roadmap is. Now, a room of 20 will likely derail in side conversation or off-topic debates. So there will be someone who will start to try to defend why he needs his thing to be part of what is in the new app. So you pick 6 people, very crucial to that app, let them lead that process. So how can you apply tip number 1? Is use this principle not just for meetings but for forming task forces or working groups. It's more perspectives. If more perspectives are needed, collect input beforehand and through a one-on-one session, then distill all those into a small, tiny team that is focused on that specific outcome. So do that effectively and you're likely to get more results than to have a bigger team. I know this goes against conventional wisdom in a big organization, a large organization, where you want every function to be involved: HR, finance, accounting, risk, operations, IT. Everyone wants to come in and contribute that. So the bigger the group, the harder it is to reach a decision. So tip number 1, 2 pizza size teams. Tip number 2, no PowerPoint presentations. I remember when I was in university so many years ago, PowerPoints were just coming up. The internet was just coming up. Basically, Microsoft Office was really coming up. And I remember our lecturers then insisting every presentation, everything should be done on PowerPoint. In fact, the university passed a policy then to ensure that all projects or postgraduate thesis should be done as a PowerPoint presentation. And it was a big thing. The problem with PowerPoint, it's usually a persuasive tool. That's why it has colors and pictures and there are rules. So presentation has its own tips. And the reason why you do that is so that you're persuasive, to pick attention to a specific thing. And they're not truth-seeking. So in place of slides, Bezos insists on a written memo, a narrative about a specific area of interest. So this is why it works. PowerPoints are flashy and shallow. They are designed to sell ideas and not explore them. Now, in contrast, a written memo demands clarity of thought and accountability. It forces the author to reason, explain, and structure their argument logically. Okay, so it's not only good for the meeting, but also good for the convener of the meeting, because he shows he understands what the subject matter of the agenda for the meeting is. So an example here is, assume there is a proposal to expand Amazon Prime to a new country. Okay, and instead of slides with bullet points like market potential, high logistics, all those things, the memo should include a structured narrative with data, assumptions, risks, and counterpoints. So there's an example that I was able to pick from what when I was doing my research, and this is an example they gave, and I'm going to read verbatim. So if there's a counterpoints and the memo says something like this: Brazil presents a unique opportunity due to the rising middle class internet penetration. However, high cost of last mile delivery, especially on remote regions, poses a significant barrier. This memo outlines 3 viable models to address this. That can never be. If you go into someone who is a facilitator or someone who is very good at presentation skills and tells you that you ask him, can such a statement be on a PowerPoint presentation? He'll probably tell you no. You are supposed to have a bullet point there that says context. Okay, but you see the memo goes a little bit deeper. So when you're reading this, you get to see that picture exactly of what you want. So what is the application here? When preparing for a strategic meeting, skip all the slides. Write a 1 to 2 page, maximum 6 page, depending on the complexity of the issue. Even if you're in Amazon, such a huge organization, this discipline will elevate the quality of your analysis and spark deeper conversation. So tip number 2, no PowerPoint presentations. So tip number 3 builds on my last statement. Prepares a maximum 6-page narrative memo. Okay, so why is this important? Because here the memo creates a foundation for a great meeting. For memos are crisp, complete, and thoughtful when they are being written. You can't do an haphazard job on a memo. So no bullet points, only one real sentence, a real structure, and real thinking. So why it works, okay, is because a strong memo demonstrates the light has done all the intellectual heavy lifting. It gives the team a shared understanding of the topic and removes any ambiguity. Now, this is hard to do, okay? Writing a memo is really, really hard to do because sometimes it can take a week or 2 weeks, but the results of it are clarity and credibility. So it allows you to prepare adequately so that when you go to that meeting, you're coming out with a deliverable outcome. Okay? So an example here, imagine a memo proposing to shut down a poorly performing product line. A 6-page memo will not only present the financials, but also customer feedback, employee impact on the employees, alternative options that you've all considered, and of course the long-term brand implications. A memo creates a full picture and anticipates all the tough questions in advance. So what can you and how can you apply? What are the tips for applying this? Start memo preparations well in advance. Remember, memos take long. Okay? Get peer reviews, gather input from all the stakeholders, and do revisions. Think of it as writing a short research paper. Make your case like you're speaking to a skeptical but a fairly minded group or a jury or a judge. Okay? Draft a maximum 6-page memo. Okay. Tip number 4. Begin with a deep 30 minutes silent reading. Okay? 15 minutes, depending on the size of the memo, 10 minutes. But begin the meeting by asking everyone to set aside time, silently read the memo. Even if you are aware what is there, read it again. And I mean, everyone reads it, including yourself, one more time. And then you do it together in that meeting. You're not going to send it in advance, read, and then you come, we discuss. No, while you are in that meeting. Let's face it, most people show up in meetings unprepared. I am a victim. At some point, you've been called into a meeting, quickly to go in, only to scheme, multitask, bluff your way to show that you're serious. But silent reading allows all levels, all the playing fields, for it guarantees that everyone in that meeting has actually consumed the content and therefore it can contribute meaningfully into the meeting. So the application tip here is to ensure that you put that silent reading block time into the agenda. Treat it as sacred, very special event. Let all the attendants take notes and underline all the key arguments and margins that they have. Put it down. Prevent the group confusion. This prevents the group confusion and cuts the time wasted on catching with people or with their ideas, asking some questions that are in the memo already. So tip number 4, begin with silent reading. Okay, the last tip, embrace the messy discussions. Now, what is the core idea here? The core idea is, after they have read this memo in detail, now open up and allow an exploratory discussion. What is the greatest idea that you can take out of this tip is that please open up for those untidy conversations with one aim in mind: seeking the truth. The truth here is meeting the objective of why you call on that meeting. Why this works? Because truth is, real breakthroughs often rise from those chaotic but sincere discussions. And the memo allows or sets a solid foundation for this. But remember, the work of the group is to ask many questions, challenge all the assumptions that you put in that memo, and refine the idea to get better. So at the end, you're able to walk away with specific outcomes. There is something so authentically beautiful about this structure and spontaneity. When you have a structured memo, then you open up for random questions because they're meeting that memo for the first time in the meeting. They have read it through and you're sincerely open to all the difficult questions, all the chaotic questions. This sweet spot between those two. And that is how you can make a team be very, very effective. So what application for this tip number 5 will be is to encourage dissent. Actually ask people to argue against any point that you've put in there. Ask them to ask the methodology, ask how the data you're able to reach, what recommendations, what were the ways, what tools did you use. And of course, reward curiosity here. Don't rush to consensus. Let people push the boundaries and think out loud. The goal here isn't to sell a solution, but it's to discover the best path, even if it's very, very uncomfortable. So those are the 5 tips to running an effective meeting. And I'm going to repeat them, not the exact same words, but a key outtake from today's episode is to remember that there are 5 principles that form a very good system to managing and running a productive team. 1, small teams allow depth. Okay, so your meeting should have, the fewer the people, the better. No slides at all. For slides, for non-slides, or when there are no slides, they force clarity. Okay. Number 3, memos ensure preparation for yourself, especially the one leading the meeting. 3, silent reading guarantees a shared understanding on you and the attendants. Lastly, open the discussion to the flow, and for it invites truth and innovation. So even if you're running a big meeting, running a meeting in a big organization, a startup, a non-profit, or you're managing a full division in a huge organization, adopting these 5 things I've told you up there, okay, will improve the quality, efficiency, and the impact of your meetings. I know you probably have heard or read about these tips before, but I hope if you listen to me up to this end, you learned something. I will greatly appreciate sharing any other tip you have in the comments. And if there are any tools that can allow my other listeners find an effective way to run a meeting, please put a link there yourself, and let's guide and help each other to be effective in order to reach that synergy of being great at work and also great at our life. Thank you so much and goodbye.